Hi, this is Jim Cantore from the Weather Channel. I'm here in the Red Cross Disaster Operations Center where they're working hard to get ready for the upcoming storm, moving volunteers and supplies into place. I want to make sure you're getting ready too. Here's the #1 thing you need to know. Monitor TV and radio for the latest watches and warnings in your area. Now is the time for you to become the storm tracker. Secure anything outside your home that can be picked up by the wind. Board up your windows and doors. Fill your gas tank. Have your emergency supply kit ready to go. Put your disaster plan into action. If you have to evacuate, make sure you take your disaster supply kit with you. You can get a full list of what you need at redcross.org or weather.com/weatherready. Let your family know where you're going. And don't forget to check the Shelter Finder map on the Red Cross website to see the location of shelters that are opening near you. One final thing, the Red Cross now offers a free iPhone app to help you find the locations of shelters. You never know when you might need it, and it's a great thing to download. The time to prepare is now.
We've seen her in hit movies like True Lies and A Fish Called Wanda, and now this famous actress and longtime supporter for the American Red Cross is here with some important information that will likely have us making sure that we're ready for the next emergency or disaster. Joining us live from Los Angeles is Jamie Lee Curtis. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here in the estrogen posse.
I love it, the Lifetime reference. Yes, we are the estrogen posse. It's great to have you here. Now, apparently, a lot of us are not prepared in case of an emergency, I hear. A recent Red Cross survey found that 51% of Americans have experienced at least one emergency situation, but only about 12% of Americans are reasonably prepared for a disaster, as recommended by the Red Cross. Now, as an ambassador for the Red Cross, you are here with some tips to help us out, right, Jamie?
Most people are not as prepared. We sit at home and cross our fingers and hope that something bad isn't going to happen to us or our family. And, of course, things happen.
Now, in an emergency situation, what does the Red Cross actually recommend that people do?
The key thing that the Red Cross suggests is that you create a kit and a plan, a family plan for an emergency and a kit to help you survive the emergencies.
Oh, okay. So if we have a kit, what items do we need to put in it?
Most important is water. The Red Cross suggests you have a gallon of water per person per day and at least a week of water. That's a lot of water. Most people don't have it. You want a really good first aid kit because if there are minor injuries, you want to be able to take care of those so that you don't have to tax the hospitals because they're dealing with the bigger injuries. Of course, you want food, granola bars, juice for your children, for yourselves. You want to make sure you have something to eat. Very important, a radio. I like a hand crank radio that doesn't use batteries because that way, if the batteries go out, you can still use it. You want to be able to stay informed. Flashlights, very important. Medicines, prescriptions. Have a week's worth in your backpack that's ready to go. Glasses and contact lenses, also very important.
But you probably need to have an emergency plan, too. Your household needs a plan?
The plan is an evacuation plan in your home or a family plan of what we're going to do in an emergency.
We've all heard predictions about the H1N1 or what people are calling the swine flu becoming more prevalent this fall. So can you give us some tips on what people can do to avoid getting sick in these situations?
You know, I'm not here to tell you how to avoid getting sick. I mean, obviously washing your hands, you know, hot soapy water, long time under the hot soapy water,
Right.
Very important. And, you know, obviously trying to stay away from people with H1N1 is crucial. The reason that the Red Cross is getting involved is if you have it or someone in your family has it, you need to isolate for maybe 2 weeks. So you want to make sure you have food and water and medicines and, you know, stuff to entertain kids all at your home.
Again, that's great advice. Thank you so much for being here today. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Now, if you want more information on getting everything that you need for your family in case of an emergency, again, just go to the redcross.org/do-more.
This morning in Health Watch, hurricane safety, how to prepare for a storm and keep your family safe. Let's go back to Dave in Naples. Dave, everybody needs to have a supply kit on the ready. What should be in it?
Well, you know what, Harry? Also important to note that it's not just for hurricanes. It's for whatever you may run across. And I'm going to take you through some stuff right now that we actually carry on the road. This is our car, and every time we go to an event like this, we bring this stuff. If you take a look what I have here packed in the back, and again, we bought it for our own consumption this time. We have a generator. We always carry extra gasoline when we know there's going to be potentially a problem getting it. We always carry at least a gallon of water per person, and a lot of times even more than that. Food, as far as that goes, non-perishable items, peanut butter for protein, things you can just pop in or eat cold, canned items, and a can opener, I might add. Now, to the important safety items, we move over. Always have a flashlight, and a flashlight operated by batteries. Batteries are the way to go in a storm, Harry, because you may not be able to plug anything in. A weather radio is always key so you can listen to updates. And of course, a toolkit, a small toolkit to be able to help you through some tight binds should you need it. And finally, Harry, every time we go, we buy a brand new first aid kit and make sure it's current.
Yeah, the thing you don't want to do, of course, is be standing in line at Walmart or at Home Depot 10 minutes before the storm hits. This is something you should have on hand all the time. Now, let's talk a little bit about storm surge, because we've had a couple of years here where we haven't been busy with hurricanes. If a surge comes and if the surge is heading your way, what do you need to be aware of?
Well, all right, let's put up a graphic and let me show you exactly what happens. Whether it's a surge or high winds, you want to stay away from windows or glass. You want to secure the interior and exterior doors of your house. Make sure they are tight. Make sure you have an exit strategy, but make sure they are secured. Keep curtains and blinds closed, because with high winds or water that's rushing through, it can shatter that glass. And if something is imminent, lie on the floor and secure yourself.
There you go. Dave, good advice. Thanks so much. We'll check in with you in just a little bit. For a bounty of pointers to help you prepare for storms, log on to our website at earlyshow.cbsnews.com.
Welcome to the 2009 Bahamas Weather Conference web channel.
To get ready for a hurricane, I like to tell people to do three things. And the first thing is to develop a communications plan for your family. And that really means having every family member know who that emergency contact is. That emergency contact can be somebody from outside your community. So if the family does get separated, they can always check in with that emergency contact. Number two, you need to know your vulnerability to all the hazards of the hurricane, whether it's storm surge, wind, tornadoes, or rainfall. And the most important thing there is to know if you're in an evacuation zone or not. If you are in one of the evacuation zones, you need to know exactly where you go to reach safe shelter and how you'll get there. And then number three is to create your own disaster supply kit. And you'll want to have this kit in place whether you evacuate or shelter in place. You'll want to make sure that you have all your records on hand, and hopefully in a waterproof container. That would include insurance records, legal and medical records, your bank account information. Cash is also important to have on hand. Remember, the ATMs are not going to be working, so you'll want to have plenty of cash before the hurricane even gets close. Rain gear is another thing. You know, you may be without power for a long, long time. You may be without air conditioning, and you know, if you're working outside on repairing your home, you'll want to have ponchos with you. Lighting, the light is also important. Everybody needs to have flashlights and batteries to go along with the flashlights. There are also some solar-powered lights out there, and I personally have a solar-powered lantern that I charge up in the daytime, then I bring it inside and use it as a night light when I come in at night. Personal hygiene items are critical. You'll want to have those on hand, and again, you want to have these with you whether you evacuate to a shelter or to a friend's home or to a motel, or if you stay in place and ride the hurricane out in your own home. You'll want to have paper plates, paper cups, eating utensils. These are things that you can have on hand well in advance in your supply kit. You'll need to have plenty of food on hand, and these typically need to be items that you don't have to refrigerate if the power's out for extended periods. You'll want to have cereal and snack bars and crackers and cookies, and of course you'll want to have canned goods and a manual can opener. If the power's out, those electric can openers are not going to work. One of the reasons that people don't evacuate, I've heard over and over, is the fact that many public shelters don't take pets. Your pet is a member of your family, and you want to be sure that you plan for them in advance too. You want to have plenty of food and water for your pet. Water is the most critical item of all. We like to tell people to have 1 gallon of water per person for 3 to 7 days. Now, if you have a large family, that's a lot of water to have on hand. There are now some containers on the market that you can buy to put up to about 5 gallons in these containers in your sink. You can also buy containers that fit in your bathtub that hold up to about 65 gallons of water. That's a wonderful idea because in the past people have filled up their bathtubs, and of course if you have young children in the house, that's always a concern there. So I highly recommend these containers for storing water. Then you don't have to have as much in your garage in advance. Ziploc bags are a very, very handy item to have on hand, and bleach. You can use the bleach to help sanitize water if the water system is not operable. You can put a little bit of bleach in a gallon jug of water, but you want to be sure you know how much to put in and use that very, very carefully. If you're going to a shelter, you want to take your bedding material with you, a sleeping bag or blankets and pillows. Don't forget the babies. If you have babies in your family, you'll want to have plenty of baby food on hand. If the power goes out, you still want to be connected and find out what's going on in your community. You want to keep up with the latest that your local officials were telling you. And if the TV is not working, the only thing left there is really the radio. You want to have a battery-operated radio, and you'll want to have plenty of batteries for that radio. The battle against the hurricane is really one outside the hurricane season.
Hi, I'm Chris Kamora for About.com Home Garden. Anyone who lives anywhere near the coastline needs to prepare for hurricanes. But even if your home is nowhere near an evacuation zone, a disaster kit is still something essential. Really, there are 3 basic categories for a hurricane kit: keeping healthy, keeping safe, and staying informed. First, stock at least 1 gallon of water per person per day for at least 3 days. You'll need it for both drinking and sanitation. A great idea just before the storm arrives is to clean and then fill a bathtub with water. Next, food. The power will probably go out, so forget cooking. Save at least a 3-day supply of non-perishable meals. That most likely means canned goods, so remember to grab a manual can opener too. Pet food falls into the same category, a 72-hour supply of feed for Fido. Don't forget disposable utensils and moist towelettes too, plus garbage bags and plastic ties for personal sanitation. Finally, for this category, your medicine. Keep prescriptions and over-the-counter medication close by, and again, be sure you have enough for at least 3 days. Keeping safe. It's bound to go dark as the winds pick up, and the electric may stay off long after the weather clears, so you need at least 1 flashlight and plenty of extra batteries. Add a first aid kit to your hurricane kit because it's unlikely medical help will be available during the storm. A small amount of bleach may also be handy. In emergencies, it can be used to treat water. 16 small drops of bleach per gallon of water, but not the scented stuff, color safe, or other bleaches that have cleaners in them. Just plain bleach. Staying informed. In the event you do have to leave at the last second, keep the car full of fuel. Gather your important papers, especially insurance documents, and carry cash, because as soon as the power goes out, credit card machines are useless. Have some maps handy, and be sure to come up with a plan B so you know exactly where you can quickly and safely take shelter. Tropical storms and hurricanes have a predictable record of being unpredictable, so you'll want to check with the local news media for storm updates and eventually the all clear. Battery-powered TVs, stereos, and weather alert radios are ideal for staying tuned.
Decreasing winds and seas as the high-pressure center moves away.
Just be sure your supply of batteries can keep up with your hunger for information. Confronting a storm is an exhausting experience. You'll have many anxious hours to fill. So having books and games on hand will help pass the time. No, they won't calm the winds, but they may calm your nerves. Thanks for watching. To learn more, visit us here on the web at homegarden.about.com.